Hey guys, welcome back to Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl, where we interview high-level MMA fighters and other experts in their fields about love, dating, romance, and that all-too-taboo subject, sex. I'm your host, Ashley, Rebel Girl, Evan Smith. Now let's talk about sex and violence. What's up, all my naughty listeners and naughty viewers now? If you are watching this, you know that this is our first video podcast. We are very excited to bring you the full version. Audio will always be available, but we are finally stepping things up. And this is the part of the podcast, if you're a new listener, where I tell everyone what I have going on in my life. So if you're a long-term listener, I'm going to continue telling you because I'm fucking jazzed about finally feeling pain-free. For the last 2 years, I've been in pain. I had a artificial disc inserted in my neck, and that took me about 9 to 10 months to, fully heal from. But then I had some residual pain, which kept me from training. And it's been over 1.5 years now, and about 10 weeks ago, I went down to Tijuana, Mexico. I know that sounds crazy, but don't be afraid. There's a facility there inside the CHIPSA hospital, and it's called the Cellular Performance Institute. They gave me stem cells in 3 discs in my neck, as well as my knee, and for the first time in 2 years, I'm finally pain-free. I'm not doing this as a commercial for them. I'm just excited because I know a lot of you out there are dealing with chronic pain, whether you're an athlete or not. You may just sit at a desk all day and have lower back pain or an old knee injury from football back in the day. I don't know what it is, but I cannot talk about the Cellular Performance Institute enough. I'm going to give you guys all the information in the show notes like I always do, but I can't recommend it enough, guys. My life has been a roller coaster emotionally. The one of the few good things is that I started this podcast, and so I'm bringing you guys content, keeping myself busy, but I'm finally ready to get the fuck back in the cage. I'm an athlete. I guess I'm a podcast host now, but my love and my first, goal is always to get back in the cage, win fights, and get to the belt. So I'm just happy, and I wanted to share that knowledge with you guys. See, some other things I got going on. May 6th, I will be in Las Vegas. So this is basically for you Vegas residents. I've been working with a photographer. He also works with the UFC, but he does UFC and boudoir photography. And his name is Juan Cardenas. He's having an art exhibit, and I wanted to share a little tidbit of information. So it's called All Eyes on Me, presents strong, intimate, honest portraits as a parody and a contrast between the raw and ridiculous. It's an awkward joke of sexy and attractive figures with cartoon eyes that invite you to laugh. The reality of these images is as any other and at the same time absurd, since they say nothing about those who pose for the camera, and they should not grant the viewer any right to judge. Juan is a great photographer. Like I said, he works with the UFC, but he also is an artist. And so he does lots of boudoir, and he's combining kind of this sexy vibe with the silly cartoon eyes. And it's going to be a great time. The times and the dates, like I said, were May 6th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Recycled Propaganda in Las Vegas. If you want to come, I'll be there as well. There's going to be food and drinks, and it's just a really big event and a fun time. And he's also one of the photographers that I've worked with on my new Fan Time account, which is an adult content site. And you guys can check that out. My site is www.ashleyrebelgirl.com. It's going pretty well. You guys who are longtime listeners know I'm a pretty shy girl about my body, and, I'm not in perfect shape right now, but it's really been fun. It teaches you to embrace what you got going on right now, and I just happen to be fluffy, and thank goodness thick is in right now. So check that out, support your girl, and you can support the show by giving us a rating and a review. Guys, it's fucking free, You can also buy merchandise on the website, which is sexviolencewithrebelgirl.com. But if you just, want to save some money but still support the show, give us a rating and a review on iTunes. Spotify does not have the ability to give like a full review, so come on. Even if you listen to Spotify, just go give an Apple review. It really helps the show. If you want to email us, you can email us at sexandviolencepodcast@gmail.com. And, you can give us a guest suggestion. You can tell us what you think about the show if you just want to communicate, or if you want to sponsor the show, that's also available. Today's guest is a sexual communication expert, a professor at California University Fullerton, a sex and relationship coach, and host of Luvbites by Dr.Tara. It's a podcast that focuses on sexual wellness. Her work has been featured in Cosmopolitan, Women's Health Magazine, Insider, and other media outlets. Her goal is to normalize sex talks and help people live a more passionate life and feel more sexually fulfilled through confidence and communication coaching. We talk about butt plugs in church, God is pro-pleasure, porn reliant versus porn addiction, unsolicited dick pics, heteroflexible, nose pathways to the penis, flaws of porn, situational ED versus clinical ED, sexual meditation, and much more. Here is your guest, Dr. Tara of Luvbites.
Hello, everyone. Hi. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Ashley.
Yeah, this is our first episode, like I told you, and I told our, listeners. So we're going to be, having some growing pains, but I'm super excited. This is what we've been working for 2 years now. So it's, and you're a podcast host as well. So I know that you can be excited for us as well.
It is. It's so exciting. I think video is the future, like audio is great, but video is so engaging.
And, we both have sex podcasts, and most people who listen to sex podcasts, they're not going to turn down the video aspect, the visual aspect.
Oh, hey, it's me, Dr. Tara here.
So let's jump right into it. It's a different format when I have an expert on as opposed to our normal athlete guest. But I still want to ask you about your background, because all I know is that you were an immigrant from Thailand, and now you are a confident sexpert. And I'm sure there's a lot in between, but could you walk us through your journey?
Yeah, can I tell you a little story?
Yes, please. We love stories.
Okay, so I am originally from Thailand. I was born and I grew up in Bangkok, which is big. It's a big city, but in Thailand, sex is very much taboo, and sex talks never happen. Right. So growing up there, I felt like it was very sexually conservative. So when I hit puberty, which was 12, 13, I was feeling a lot of sexual feelings, but I did not have anyone to go to. I did not have anyone to talk to. My parents never talked about sex. Did your parents talk about sex?
No. I had very absent parents, not abusive, nothing like that. But I look back now, just not there. So you end up learning on your own, whether it's books or your friends or the hard way, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, me too. So my parents didn't talk to me about sex. And then my school did not have sex ed. Thailand doesn't believe in sex ed. So I have no information. So everything that I had learned from teenage years is either from talking to peers, from reading a magazine, or from porn.
Yeah.
Mainly from porn, because I grew up in a generation where we had dial-up internet. I don't know. I feel like we're in the same generation. Are you in your 30s?
I'm 34.
Okay, same.
Okay.
So growing up, we had a dial-up internet.
I just saw a meme. I have to tell you this. If you know what ASL is, it said, "I hope your back is okay." And I'm like, oh, my back is messed up. So yeah.
Yeah, seriously. But with dial-up internet, I remember loading up a porn video, and then I'm just so afraid my parents would walk in. I think a lot of your listeners may be able to relate to this. Just wanting to explore. What is sex? What is it like? But then what I ended up learning as I'm older, as I'm in my PhD program, is that a lot of that is very toxic. A lot of that is very unrealistic, and it creates a very unrealistic expectations amongst all of us. So we enter relationships with misguided information, right? So fast forward from, me being in Thailand and growing up having no sex education, not really anyone to talk to, learning mostly from porn. When I first moved here to the United States, I mean, number one, I did not write English very well. Like, you'd be surprised how well I write now, as like English is not my first language, but I did not write English well. I did not speak fluent English. I came here, I'm like not a generally shy person, but of course I was like very socially anxious because it's America. Like, it's a brand new place. People don't look like me. People don't speak my language. So yeah, I had a lot of like social anxiety.
What age did you come over?
I came over, I think, at 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of us, I think, can relate to like feeling socially anxious. Even
Hmm.
though we're a confident person, or even though we are not a shy person, like, I was very socially anxious. And I just remember I started dating people, and throughout my 20s, I didn't realize I have a problem, that I did not understand myself sexually. And when I engage in sex, it's all about my partner.
Ah.
It's all about pleasuring them.
Hmm.
It's all about getting validation from them.
Yeah.
So I rarely experienced sexual pleasure
Hmm.
in my early 20s
Yeah.
because of that like people pleaser characteristic that I have.
Yeah.
And I want you to like me, I want you to validate me, so let me do all these things for you. So sex became very much a chore, because like if I don't get sexual pleasure from it, then it is a chore.
Yeah.
Blow job is a job.
Yeah. 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 Or,
Right?
if you have a partner that you are so immensely connected with or in love with, you may get pleasure, like I do, from seeing them get pleasure. But the
Right.
actual act, it's, let's face it, like, it's not my favorite, sexual act, giving blowjobs, but the gratification that I see on my partner's face and the sounds he makes, that turns me on. So that, I
Yes.
understand what you're saying, though. Yeah.
You're a generous lover. And I did not discover being a generous lover until my late 20s. So, like, all my early 20s, I had a bunch of sexual partners, and all about it was about them.
Hmm.
And it was never about me. And a lot of women, it's almost like an epidemic. A lot of women that watch porn growing up, learning from porn, they think they should sound like porn and they should look like porn. Oh, a man comes into the room, you should immediately get wet without them touching you, and then just like, oh my god, come fuck me. Ah, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, yes, right? Immediately,
Yeah.
like with no foreplay, with no clitoral
Yeah.
stimulation, like all of that. So it's fake.
Yeah, the
So
format of porn usually is, when the guy comes, that's the big grand finale.
yeah.
That's what you're working towards, and then it's done. And it's like, there's two of us in this situation, isn't there?
Exactly. So I had that thought my whole life, like when I was younger. So I was in that the whole time, and then as I started studying more about romantic relationships in graduate school, and I have a PhD in human communication, specifically studying relationships, from Arizona State University. So I lived in Arizona for 4 years, and I loved it. And I was trained under professors that were studying attachment style. A professor that came up with affection exchange theory, all of these things that explain, that describes real life.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I have a people pleasing issue. I have never self explored. I have insecure attachment. I don't know how to affectionately communicate. So I learned all of this in graduate school. And I have had, an epiphany like, damn, I should embark in a real intense personal development journey.
Wow.
I call it sexual awakening journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
From very like, timid, kind of like just tell me what I do, I don't ever ride like my partner because I don't know how, to like, yeah, I'm gonna embrace all of this and learn to be really comfortable receiving pleasure
Yeah.
and giving pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do I get pleasure from giving pleasure as well? So all of these things, after I graduated from my PhD program, I got my dream job as a professor at Cal State University Fullerton in Orange County.
Yeah.
I love being a professor, and doing research as a professor. it's very rewarding because the more you do research, the more you learn. A big part of research is reading what has been done, right? So if you're doing brand new research and before you collect data, we have to do what is called a literature review. For those of you that have went to college in like social science or humanities, you know what a lit review is, and it's a pain in the ass to write. But in doing that, you learn so much of like what has been studied and what do we know now,
Yeah.
and where do we go from here.
Yeah.
So from then on, I started doing more research in sex. And my recent research, the one that I talk about in my recent TED talk, was based on 5,000 people. It's actually a little bit more, but 5,000 is easier to say. Uh, and I was looking at factors that contribute to sexual satisfaction. Can you guess, Ashley, what is the number one predictor of long term sexual satisfaction?
I mean, you are a sexual communications expert, so I want to say communication.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Like, yes, the skills and the connection, all of that, like, is prerequisite. Like, all of that matters. But the ability to have amazing sex or just great sex long term, you have to talk.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to be able to communicate
Hmm.
before sex, during sex, after sex.
Yeah.
So the fact that a lot of people think sex is just something you do, is not something you have to talk about, you should just know what to do, is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's them fooling themselves like, oh my God, I'm a sex god. I can do this. I don't have to talk about sex. Like, no way. You have to talk about sex.
Yeah.
There is a consensus in the research community that sexual communication is a strong predictor of sexual satisfaction,
Of course,
period.
of course. And I
Yeah.
mean, when I hear that, it's funny because everyone always says, oh, long term relationships are so boring and the sex just gets so boring, right?
Yeah.
But in my own personal long term relationship that I'm in, we've been together over 2 years now, which is a long time for me. And I'm very proud of
It's
that.
long term in Southern California. It's long term in LA.
And as my relationship goes on, the sex gets better because I feel more comfortable with my partner and talking about these things, and he feels more comfortable talking to me, and he knows he's not gonna be met with ridicule or teasing. I don't know, whatever someone might fear about talking about sex. There's no worries in a long-term relationship. You truly love the person, and if you're gonna be with them long term, you better talk about it because sex is very, very important.
It is. It really is very important. And without the facilitation of communication, better sex cannot occur,
Hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So when it comes to like top questions that I typically get from my followers or from my clients, one of them is, how do I bring up a sex issue?
yeah. I mean,
Because
just the beginning part is hard, and
yeah,
you are the expert here, but I've been in my own personal situations where I've wanted to talk about a sexual topic with my partner, and I realized setting is also very important, timing and delivery. With anything, I think, now that you think about it, you can make things more comfortable with those three factors. But in my opinion, like, those things are very important. I don't know how to phrase it perfectly, but if you set it up in the right way, it might be a little bit easier.
totally. Setting means so much. Because think about it. If you bring up a sex issue like right after penetration or right after sex, people are very vulnerable after
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
Like that's why people think sex is such a big deal, is because we truly show like who we are, what we're doing. We're naked, we're inside each other, we're exchanging fluids. Like, it's a very vulnerable
Yeah.
situation. So to be bringing up such like a big
Concerns.
issue, yeah,
Yeah.
something that they might feel is, wow, like attacking their character
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right after sex. So setting, like, you're on point there. Setting means a lot. So like I usually recommend my clients or my listeners, like, do something low stake, like say it maybe during morning coffee or
Mm.
when you're on a hike, because when you're on a hike, maybe it's more relaxing, you're outdoors, you're less like tense.
Hmm.
Again, like bringing up right after like a really long busy work day is also bad.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, setting means a lot, so definitely think about that. And then delivery, right? I'd always tell people, make it a we issue, not a you issue.
Yeah, yep, that's good. Yep.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
hey, like I love you. I think we have good sex. I definitely want to try ABC. I think we can really have fun from it. I think we can really grow from it. I think we will really enjoy it. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Instead of like, you never want to do this. You never want to try. You don't initiate sex. Like,
Yeah.
that's attacking people. And there was never in history of psychology that people change based on an attack.
Yeah, yeah. And we're talking specifically about sexual communication, but anything, if especially if you're in a relationship or even a work relationship,
Right.
being inclusive with your terminology can make it feel less, like it's their fault, like it's something you
Right.
can work on together. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when you say it out loud, it's kind of like, well, duh, but you don't think about it that way.
No, and millions of people use those words,
Yeah, that's great.
like just it's the best way to go is to make sure it's a we issue and not a you issue.
That's great. Yeah. So, now that we've kind of like dove into what you do, I know you also, you said you're the professor and you do sexual communication coaching at
Yeah.
lovebites.co.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I want to do is kind of like a hypothetical. So,
Okay.
if me and my partner, we are a heterosexual couple and 2 years in, we'll use my real relationship. Sorry, boyfriend. And, I want to, talk to my boyfriend about something or I'm having a certain issue. How does that work? Do I just contact you and then what if my boyfriend is a little standoffish? Can you get sexual communication coaching by yourself or does your partner have to join in?
Great question. And a lot of people have have confusions about that when it comes to when do I get coaching. So, in general, like, I'm a sex and relationship coach. So if there is a sex and relationship issue, you would come to someone like me versus I want to get this off the bat versus like if you have had a specific trauma
Mhm.
you want to work on, I highly recommend a therapist.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but if there is a certain sex issue in your relationship or a relationship issue, or maybe you have been monogamous for a long time and you kind of want to try opening it up a little, but you don't know how to approach it,
Okay.
people like that come to me.
Got
So
it.
my clients have like a specific issue and a specific goal.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They want better sex, they want more intimacy, more connection, new things, so they know what they want. So typically, like, let's do your scenario.
Okay.
You can do one or two things. One, you can reach out to me first as an individual, right, and say like, hey, here's all my concerns, here's what we're going through right now in terms of our sex life. Like, he initiates a lot more, he thinks I don't initiate, I find him less attractive than before. I just want to tell you all my problems right now so that when we come in together for couples counseling, like, where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So sometimes a person in a relationship will reach out to me first
Okay.
and set up the couples call later.
Mhm.
And then the couple comes in, and then, I can do it face to face, like in my office in Orange County or LA, or we can do it on Zoom. But typically, one person usually reach out because that's the one person that feels the most pressure from that issue.
Yeah.
Or the much fewer times, but it has happened, quite like 10 times, is the couple reaches out together. So they had already talked about their issue. And maybe it's at a point where they don't know how to reconcile because of the differences.
Mhm.
So they're like, let's reach out to a third person. Let's talk to her. Let's see what she says. Here's where we're coming from. We're different on this perspective. Now, like, what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes couples do come in together.
That makes sense. I guess what I was wondering, that makes sense to me. But what if, and obviously it's an issue already if this is the situation, but what if my partner, like, he's stubborn and he doesn't want
Mhm.
to do it? Would I
Mhm.
still get the same benefits from just one on one coaching and then taking those suggestions or lessons, information into my relationship? I mean, is that possible?
100%. Sex is 70% you, 30% your partner. So a lot of times, if you are like, having a blockage or an issue with your partner, uh, it it is most likely that a part of you is contributing to that issue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never like, oh, it's 100% their
Of
issue, you
course.
know?
Of course.
So when I coach the person and they are able to go back to their relationship, apply some of the things I suggest,
Mm-hmm.
typically the results that I see is that their partner becomes a little bit more soft, a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more empathetic.
Yeah.
And then eventually they either come in together, or eventually they start doing the practices that I recommend.
That makes sense because with anything, it's like if you take the lead and show you're willing to change or compromise or whatever it is, you
Mhm.
kind of like wave the white flag or like take the first
Yeah.
step, then the your partner is more willing or more likely to do something the same.
Totally. It's basic psychology called modeling behavior.
Modeling behavior.
So
Okay.
same with children. As children, we absorb the way our parents interact,
Oh no.
and we model our behaviors based on them.
Oh shit.
And I'm not saying we don't change. We do change based on like our peers, our siblings, like relationship experiences,
Partners,
life
yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when we were young, when we were kids, we absorb those and we model our behaviors after their behavior. So in a relationship, we also model our behavior based on what's going on with our partner.
Okay.
So if you're in a relationship where both of you are closed off, both of you are tense, you're not having sex, you're not having intimacy, that's just mirroring, modeling off of each other, and it's endless.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's negativity or there's lack of passion, lack of intimacy. It's endless.
Yeah.
It can go on forever. So one person has to change.
That makes so
Right.
much
So
sense.
back to your question, can you improve the relationship by coming to the coaching session on your own?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, because you will be the person that changes. You will be the courageous person that starts doing something positive for the relationship when it comes to passion. And then hopefully the partner is able to pick up these things that you're modeling, and they do it after you.
Makes
Right.
sense. What are, I know this is a loaded question, but maybe like the top 5 or top 10,
Okay.
if you can think of it, what are the most common issues that you deal with in your profession? I mean, lack of sex, people wanting to have multiple partners, I don't know, cheating, infidelity. I don't
Yeah.
know. What are the main ones?
The number one issue, and this is number one for all therapists too, like that, my I have a lot of therapist friends, sex therapists. So the number one issue
I want to,
is
oh, sorry. I want to see if my team can guess. Team DJ Zol, what is the number one issue with the sexual
sex coach.
sex coaching? Guesses? The male not being communicative?
That's the third issue, but
Oh,
yes, that's a top issue.
gentlemen? The woman just doesn't want to have sex.
Okay, so that's an explanation outside of this top issue, but let me share the top
Okay,
issue, but
okay.
it's
Good job,
related
guys.
to not having sex.
Okay.
So the number one issue that couples come to sex coaches for,
Mm-hmm.
is sexless relationship.
Oh, how sad. No sex at all.
Nope, no sex. Oh, you would be surprised. And I don't want to shame anyone. This is very normal. There are some couples that have not had sex for 3 years.
That's about 3 years too long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there
That's
are there are real couples, high performing individuals in societies, very smart, very successful.
yeah.
They're not having sex.
And that doesn't mean that
And
it's a loveless relationship. It just means
no,
no
they love each
sex.
other.
Yeah.
No passion.
Oh no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, love, yes, care, yes, all of the above.
Yeah.
No sex, no passion.
Yikes.
So yeah, it's close. It's emotionally intimate, but it's like a roommate. It's like a good friend.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's
I
like
see
you
what.
live with your best friend, no passion. That is the number one issue,
Okay.
right now, and I assume that it has been for the last 20 years, and that's why we see so many divorces. And the reason for those divorces, a lot of times, is lack of sexual compatibility or lack of sex,
Which can lead
lack of
to infidelity or something else.
most of the times
Yeah.
infidelity.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you don't get the pleasure and the feeling desired, from your relationship. And I'm not justifying infidelity. Infidelity is bad.
Yeah.
But here's the reasoning, the psychological reasoning behind infidelity, is that they don't feel wanted and desired in their current relationship.
Mhm.
When someone, shows them attention, gives them attention, are interested in what they're saying, they want them, they express that, like, oh my god, like, you're so attractive, I can't even stop looking at you.
Mhm.
The guard that you have up based on monogamy and marriage and promises tend to go down,
Fade
that
away.
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tend to fade away because now someone is giving you what you need as a human: attention
Mhm.
and feeling wanted,
Yeah.
right? You need this as a human. So if
Yeah.
you don't get it in a relationship, you typically want to get it elsewhere. And a lot of people don't like that I say this. Well, a lot of women don't like that I say this because they're like, "Oh, are you justifying it's okay for men to
No.
cheat?" I am not.
Yeah.
What I'm saying here, let's do PSA. What I'm saying is, sexual pleasure and passion in a long-term relationship is a two-people job
Yeah.
or more if you're in a polyamorous
Yes.
relationship, but typically two-people job. So if there is a lack of passion, it's rarely one person's fault. If there is a lack of passion, it's two people. It takes two to tango. It takes two to have a sexless relationship.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you should improve together
Yeah.
to find that passion and sexual intimacy back to each other again.
Yeah, of course, you're not saying that infidelity is okay, but you're just saying that there is a reason behind any move that you make in a relationship. And if you don't know
Exactly.
the reasons why that's happening, how are you going to fix that? So it's
Exactly.
important to point out why it's happening or what leads us
Yeah.
there mentally or emotionally. So
Yeah.
this is a podcast where we have on primarily athletes. So as an
Yeah.
expert, I was wondering if you could talk about some, without saying names, is there any uh specific problems, I don't want to say problems, specific issues that you've dealt with from athletes in their
Yeah.
relationships?
Yeah, I what I've seen, so I have athletes
Okay.
as clients. I mean, being in, LA and Orange County, I come across a lot of athletes of different kinds. The two issues that I typically see is, one is situational erectile dysfunction.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then two is females' lack of sexual desire and lack of sexual arousal,
Yeah.
perhaps from like extreme training. I have women that are runners,
Hmm.
that are like professional, like, marathoners or like runners, and
Yeah.
they're really skinny and they don't get period, every month.
Yeah.
And they say that, I don't have any sexual arousal. Like, I touch myself. I stopped masturbating completely because I just don't feel the arousal.
Don't feel the
What's going
urge to
on?
do it.
Right. I don't feel the urge. I don't feel, and then when I do it, it doesn't feel that great. So these are some of the issues that the athletes have. But then there's one other issue that just came to my mind right now. And this is a couple. One of them is an athlete, a professional athlete. Um, and the other is not. The other is an accountant. And their issue is the athlete wants to have rough sex,
Oh.
and like go go go, like hot passionate rough sex,
Yeah.
but the partner wants more like tantric, slow energy,
Hmm.
eye contact,
Yeah.
hovering, like all of these other things that may seem like an opposite of the aggressive sex, but really isn't. So I had to, do some probing questions with the couple, and then we came up with like different practices that they can do together.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, my first thought
Like, do
is,
you like rough sex?
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a common it's a common question that I ask all
Yeah.
the athletes because it's like, especially they're combat sports athletes. So it's like males and females, we just, I don't even know if this is bad to say, but we're kind of like alphas, right? It's
Uh-huh.
like, we are very dominant and
Hmm.
aggressive and assertive. And so I love to ask because it's different for everyone. does that translate into the bedroom? And I'd say most of the time it does, but for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the women like myself, it's the opposite. We are so aggressive 24/7. When we get in the bedroom with our partner, it's like the one time we can be submissive and let our guard down and not and be controlled, and that's okay. So it's different with everyone, as you know, but yeah,
Yeah.
personally, um I like to be aggressive, but my partner is also an athlete, and so he's more aggressive than I am, and so I kind of let him take the lead, and I like that.
Yeah, that's the situation that I'm seeing is like male athletes like aggressive sex. But then sometimes due to maybe like too much training, too much gym, as well as just a lot of psychological pressure when they do have sex, they tend to experience these like, sexual anxiety and just situational ED. Situational ED is not clinical. So like you can have an erection, but like in different situations you experience ED.
I'm sorry. Could you clarify a little bit more? Situational ED and clinical
Yeah,
ED. What is the
yeah.
difference? Clinical is
So
my guess is clinical. It may be because of like a supplementation, like steroids or overtraining, and then situational would be a mental or emotional thing.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. So an OBGYN would ask this question: do you get a boner when you wake up? So if you yeah, the team around you, do they get a
Oh,
boner?
guys, do you guys have morning wood? We got a yes, a sometimes, and Eddie just blushed.
So yeah, so an OBGYN would say, do you get a boner like, when you wake up?
Okay.
If you do, you don't have clinical ED.
Oh, that's great.
Right. So that's a
Okay.
simple
Okay,
test.
that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So for all of your listeners, if you do get a boner here and there, like you don't have clinical ED, this is when you have to treat it with like medication or injection.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, it's psychological.
Got it.
The majority ED issues is because it's psychological.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would have guessed it was
Yeah.
clinical just because
Right.
uh, I don't know. I don't have a wiener. I don't think about it that much. But yeah, okay.
I think
That's
about wieners every day.
I think about my boyfriend's wiener every day. But
But
um,
yeah, it's psychological, particularly with athletes because athletes are very competitive. Athletes are very much striving and they want to win
performance
and they
based.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
That
mean,
is
like, even in sex, I know for me, sometimes I'm having a great time, but like I'll like think of myself outside the box, or like outside of myself, like how does this look,
right.
because and I don't know if this is because I'm a giving partner or self-conscious, but I'm also thinking about like, do I look sexy right now? Am I
Mhm.
riding his dick in a sexy way, or do I
Mhm.
look weird, which I know that our partners are not concerned about the way you look if you're, on
Right.
top of them having sex. But yeah, I'm also thinking about like, am I giving a good performance? Not in a false
Right.
way, because I'm enjoying the sex.
Yeah.
But I think athletes, males and females, we are competition based, and we're always thinking about our performance as well.
Yes. So that's why, like, back to your question about, the issue with athletes, like with males, erectile dysfunction is so normal, like so common
Yeah,
because you are performance based,
yeah,
because you're competitive, because you're aggressive,
yeah,
because you want to win, right?
yeah,
And not a negative way, like it's a positive way. You want to have a great experience during sex. That's a win.
yeah,
But then all of that pressure, especially for a male, for a penis, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
yeah. Oh, this is
So
such a loaded question, but quick response. Let's say I'm a male. I have clinical ED, or sorry, situational ED. How would I go about? Obviously, let's see, I get a sexual communication coach like you, Dr. Tara. Like, how would you help me get out of that situational ED? Like, how does that work?
yeah, I'd say there are three things you can do. One is start meditating. And I know a lot of athletes already meditate.
Oh, so hard for me. It's so hard.
Yeah, it is. But if you want to have a friendly guided meditation, and it's sexual meditation, so it's specific, it's
Oh,
sexual meditation.
didn't
If
even
you
know that
want to
was a
have
thing.
Yeah, it is. If you want to have a friendly guide, I have sexual meditation videos on YouTube.
Oh,
If you
cool.
just search Love Bites by Dr. Tara, you will find these videos.
Okay.
But basically, my number one prescription is sexual meditation.
Wow.
It allows you to get out of your head, get into your breathing, controlling your dick, and basically get more, feel more. This will sound like it's counterintuitive, but like get more control by letting go.
Yeah. No, no, no. I
You see
mean,
what I'm saying?
I think athletes specifically will understand this because there's a lot of
Yes.
performance anxiety for mixed martial arts or boxing, whatever, whatever the sport is. So it's probably a lot of the same techniques with breathing and
Mhm.
visualization and that kind of thing. Oh, that's great, and that's very hopeful for the athletes who are suffering from that because it's like if you can focus on winning the fight or winning the game, you can do the same thing with getting your wiener hard.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So meditation, it allows you to surrender so that you can have a better control.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So sexual meditation is my first, like my number one prescription for situational ED. Number two is it's related to meditation, which is breath work.
Yes.
I've been talking to pharmacists. They're called the Men's Health Unscripted. They're on Instagram. They often talk about breathing through your nose because there's literally points in your nose that goes directly to your dick.
Whoa. Guys,
Yeah.
close your mouth. Close your mouth. Breathe through your nose,
Close
guys.
your mouth. Do not breathe from your mouth, men.
And it's not the
There,
same for women. You don't have that same pathways.
it's specifically for men.
Okay. Okay. Good to
Yeah,
know.
for male bodies with
Got it.
penises. There's specific places in the nose. So doing regular breath work activities like practices, like you've heard of like Wim Hof,
I have.
right?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there are like specific techniques out there for breath work that are actually great for erections.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I would highly recommend doing that.
Wow. I'm learning so much. I did not know any of this. I mean,
Yeah.
talking a lot about wieners, but that's, good to know. Okay.
Well, we're wieners first, then we pussy after.
Okay.
I went to a pussy worshiping class. It was really cool. So I want to talk about that too.
Okay.
But so the third one, I would say is communicating to yourself. It's called intrapersonal communication.
Okay.
And as an athlete, you must have heard about positive affirmations and visualization.
Is it kind of like self-talk, like what you're
Yeah.
telling? Okay.
Positive self-talk,
Got it.
like pep talk,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I think that's huge in sports.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
like I think LeBron James in one interview he says, I visualize and I tell myself, I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
not tired.
Yep.
I'm good. I
Yeah.
can do like 100 more balls. I can do this. I'm not tired.
Yeah.
Therefore, I am not tired.
Yeah.
So positive self-talk or like whatever self-talk that you need is great. There's psychology behind it, there's proof, there's evidence. So this is for men and women that want to become more sexually confident, that want to feel like they are able to feed into their sex appeal. Positive self-talk is great. So I would say for men and women, in the morning, if you want to like look in the mirror and just say, I am a great lover,
Yeah.
I am sexy, I have amazing sexual energy.
Yeah.
I do it every day. It's like a part of my brushing. Like I brush my teeth and then I say it.
That's so, and everything you're talking about are, not, I don't want to say simple, but things that you can work into your daily routine.
You
They
can do
don't
right
cost
now.
anything, you don't need any devices. It's just breathing,
Exactly.
self-talk, like that. That's so great.
Yeah, that's why I always say like I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm
Yeah.
just sharing what I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, these are great things, and of course for people with vulvas, with vaginas as well. So for women as well, what the three things that I just said is not just treating erectile dysfunction. It's also great for women that want to enhance their sexuality and have better sex.
Yeah.
There's proof. So there's a lab in Canada that does specifically experimental research in female sexual arousal.
Wow. Thank you, Canada.
function and dysfunction. All
Thank
right.
you, Canada's great. I hear nothing but good things about Canada.
Exactly. So there's a lab that studies specifically female sexual dysfunction and female sexual function. And
Great.
they found that meditation increases the ability to enjoy arousal and increases sexual desire.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, go
Yeah.
at it.
Oh, that's great. Last
Yeah.
last personal question, and I'm just putting my own stuff out there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just showing everyone that, if you don't have, you know, just you got to have a little bit of courage to get uncomfortable. So for me, my biggest issue is my self-confidence with my body, especially as an athlete currently on the bench, unable to work out and train and mold my body into what I feel is sexy, right? But my partner, on the other hand, is infatuated with this fluffy version of myself.
Uh-huh.
Just thinks that like thick is in, and I love that so much. But how do I, as an athlete who's just constantly holding myself to the highest physical standard, how do I feel sexy in this body that I don't want to be in? I will get out of it, and I'm healing. And I know a lot of my listeners are athletes or in sports and all that. Or maybe they're just, a regular person, an accountant, like you
Mhm.
said, who, fell off a chair and now she can't work out or he can't work out. What would you say to my situation where it's like, I love sex, my partner is attracted to me, but my issue is in my own mind where I just feel so unsexy?
I love this question, and I know that lots of people can relate to it because there are sometimes I feel very shitty about my body, and I think more women than men experience this because of how we were socialized to like look a certain way, be a certain way. So more women feel more shame related to their bodies than men.
Of course.
Like a negative body like self image is a huge problem among young girls.
Yes.
Uh, so my first method to feeling more sexy and being okay with my body and even loving my body even when it's not at the my quote unquote norm
Yeah.
is appreciation. So I want to base it off of research. There's research that shows writing appreciation for life
Oh, wow.
allows you report higher life satisfaction.
Just
So now,
writing it down.
yeah, just writing
Hmm.
it down. So
Okay.
now let's apply that to body image. What if we write an appreciation letter for our body?
Hmm.
Will we love it more? Yes, we will, according to the same logic with loving life.
Yeah, I guess so.
So if we write down, I love my boobies, I love my tummy, I
Yeah.
love my back. Thank you for letting me stand up. I love my legs. I am appreciative of my feet because I walked 2 miles today, right? Like loving your body means appreciating the every part of it, and writing it down is powerful.
Wow.
There's research in journaling, right? So
Hmm.
I'm basing it off of that kind of research. So if you write down why you appreciate your body,
Wow.
you will slowly trick your brain to love it more, to be okay with different body types. That's not the norm for you.
I love that. And again, it's something so simple that can make a huge impact.
Yeah, yeah. I whenever I feel self-conscious, I journal every day, but I don't journal about my body every day. But when I do feel self-conscious in the morning, I add that to my journal.
Yeah, I guess it's
Like
whatever.
today,
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever you're feeling insecure about or worried
exactly.
about, add that in.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I'm like today I am thankful for my tummy. Today I am thankful for my arms. Like, yeah, I think it's minor little things. Again, another thing that you can do without buying anything or paying for
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I love
To
this so
love your body
much.
more. Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like I would love to talk to you all day about this stuff because I feel like I'm learning so much, and I know that the listeners and now the viewers are learning stuff as well. But if we want to learn more, I know that you have your own podcast. Is it audio or video?
It's audio right now, but
Okay.
you are inspiring me to
You
do
can
video.
do it. If I could do it, you could do it. Or I'll connect you with these awesome guys, That's just
Yes.
I
They
think
all
every
get boners, right?
apparently
Just
they all
kidding.
get boners, yeah. And I don't think they're afraid to talk about boners either. But if we wanted to continue to learn like we are today, what do you normally talk about on your podcast? Just kind of sell us on it real quick.
Okay, yeah. Love Bites by Dr. Tara podcast focuses on sexual wellness and sex exploration, so sexploration. So I have guests from anywhere from an expert, the number one researcher in female sexual arousal from that lab in Canada, the Sexual Health Institute,
Oh,
Dr. Lori Brado, to come on and talk about all these experimental cutting edge research in improving female sexual functioning.
amazing.
So I have guests from, highly like academic people to, my recent guest, Daniel Saint. He is the founder of a premier sex club
Oh, I
in New
know.
York.
I've heard of that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
follow him on Instagram.
it's a membership base. It's very sex positive. They have a whole sex club in New York, and
Mm-hmm.
they are expanding everywhere in the US.
Yeah.
They have 8,000 members.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have him on as well, talking about sex clubs 101, like what is it like inside a sex club, and then what are the do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on, I also have a person with a personal experience. So this girl, Caitlin, and actually her episode is top, like one of the top listened to episodes, because people just love hearing real life experience.
Yeah.
So she talked about her first time going out with a girl and being heterosexual, but like going out with a girl and having sex with a girl, fingering a girl for the first time, licking her pussy, like eating her out the first time.
But
And yeah,
as a heterosexual girl or as a woman who was
right. So
exploring her
now she
sexuality?
well, she has always been a heterosexual girl, but now she is hetero-flexible. So she
Whoa.
likes going on dates
That's
and have sexual experiences with women, but she is in a relationship with a man, and they have amazing communication. And I'm
hetero
their friend.
flexible.
That's a new term.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, whoa.
hetero-flexible.
I thought I was on the cutting edge of sex terms, but I am not. What is the difference between heterosexual and bisexual?
Yeah, so a hetero, you mean hetero-flexible?
Sorry, hetero-flexible, yeah,
Yeah.
and bisexual.
A bisexual typically is sexually interested in both men and women,
Okay.
right? Like almost equally. Like, oh yeah, like I'm attracted to women, I'm attracted to men. Doesn't mean they're attracted to every single person,
Yeah, no.
but they're able to
Hmm.
be like, oh wow, like I'm into this girl, I'm into this guy.
Okay.
But a hetero flexible person is, they feel related to and resonate with heterosexuality most of the time,
Okay.
minus that like 2% of like I want to explore a woman once a year
Okay.
or every now and then. That is a hetero flexible.
There are so many terms for
I know,
and
but like
I try to be as in the know as possible because, I want to be inclusive and
yeah,
not get canceled also, but God,
it's hard. There's new terms all the time, but being a professor and like lecturing every day,
Mhm.
I kind of have to keep tabs with like what are some things out there now that I don't know, and there are still things I don't know or have never heard of,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that Gen Zs are using.
Mhm.
Like no idea. Yeah, so there's always terms. So no shame on that. There's always new terms, and it's all about just continuously learning and sharing.
Oh, I love that. We're getting close to the end, so I got to transition into some of our games and then some fan questions at the end, if that's okay.
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 Yeah.
So we always play this game. We usually do it with athletes, but I thought since you are so bubbly and just down, let's be a little silly and let's play a game of fuck, marry, kill. So I'm going to give
Ooh.
you three names, and you're
Okay.
going to tell me out of those three names who you would fuck, who you would marry, and who you would kill. Okay? All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Your people are Dr. Phil, Dr. Drew, and Dr. Doolittle. So you're gonna choose from those three names.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Okay, oh, fuck is easy. I will fuck Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Dr. Drew, Dr. Drew, are you listening? Like,
At
please tag.
Luvbites, Luvbite, DM her.
Exactly. Listeners, tag him for this episode. Like, Dr. Drew, if you're listening, I said, fuck Dr. Drew.
Got it. Okay. So who Dr. Phil and Dr. Doolittle, who you gonna marry and who you gonna kill?
I will marry Dr. Doolittle.
Okay. Okay. You like animals?
I like animals, but I'm fucking allergic.
Okay. Oh,
I know. So I
poor
will have to
thing.
take like a antihistamine the rest of my life, but I will marry Dr. Doolittle. I like a passionate, empathetic, cute guy. So I will marry him. I think he'll be a good lifelong partner. And I'll probably kill Dr. Phil.
Okay, got it. And just for my own personal knowledge, are you in a current relationship? Are you single?
Yeah, I am. I am in a relationship.
Okay, okay, awesome. So I got some really fun fan questions for you right now. We have at BiffStar5. My wife has an extremely low sex drive, but hormone levels tested normal. What's next?
Back to what when we talked about meditation, breath work, journaling, all of these things can help increase sexual desire. So nowadays, when we say sex drive, what we really mean is sexual desire.
Okay.
Uh, so for women with low sexual desires, there are experimental studies out there. There's evidence that shows meditation, sexual meditation, breath work, and then obviously like exercise, eat right. All of these contribute to higher sex drive.
Yeah.
So 100%, I'm a big fan of meditation. I think
Okay.
it helps you feel more sexual. And when you feel more sexual as a woman, you feel good about yourself, you feel more sexual, you're more likely to have sex.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. At Jervis Manages 06, what's the best way to spice up my sex life?
Try new things. It sounds like such a no duh, like every, Cosmo article, women's health article talks about this, but think about it this way in psychology, right? Stability and excitement are the opposite end of the continuum. When there's stability, it means there's a lot of certainty. There's a lot of closeness. There's a lot of like feeling vulnerable and open. There's not a lot of excitement. Excitement is on the other side of the continuum. So the best couples that have passion in their sex life are the couples that are able to negotiate this continuum.
What do you mean
So
negotiate exactly?
yeah, so do actually putting in the effort and trying new things sometimes. I'm not saying like have crazy sex every night, but what I'm saying is once a month try something new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Try something new that make you feel naughty, something secretive,
yeah,
have sex outdoors, try role play,
yeah,
try like mild BDSM or hard BDSM depending on what
yeah,
you're into.
yeah,
Try something new that engages that part of your brain for excitement.
yeah, yeah.
And that can carry forward in a relationship for like a month or even longer.
That's
So I would
cool.
I would say in a concrete way, concrete advice is once a month try something new.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And it could be as simple as like adding in sex toys.
Literally,
Yeah,
literally. Yeah, a new sex toy. It could be something as simple as we're going to play a sex game.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
anything.
At Little Tina XX, my girlfriend constantly tries to dirty talk and sext me, but I'm too dumb to figure it out. Please send help.
I love this. And, we're not meant to feel comfortable with sexting because for hundreds of years, even communicating about sex is taboo and
Mhm.
most of the times illegal.
Yeah.
So now we hit 2022 and we just expect people to be so good at sexting.
Yeah.
So yeah, number one, like feel less shame, right? Like I want you to feel okay that you're not comfortable. It's completely okay. And for everyone that's listening, that's like, I'm not good at sexting, you're completely normal. You're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So next is how can you what can you say?
Yeah.
Well, if your girlfriend is sexting you like maybe a naked pic, I would say modeling behavior.
Oh,
So if
okay.
she send you a naked pic, send her a naked pic,
Yeah.
right?
I
She
just
sent
thought
you
of
like, well,
like
yeah.
when you, males tend to do this a lot, they don't model the behavior, right? So you're like, "Hey, I was just thinking about you." And then they're just like, "Dick pic." And you're like, "Whoa." Like that
Did not ask for
escalated
that.
too fast. You got to model build up.
Oh, can I address that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because too many guys send dick pics too early. It's very off-putting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like sending dick pics too early is off-putting. You know what's hot? Consent.
Yeah.
You know what's really
Mm-hmm.
attractive? It's like, can I send you a dick pic?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
when someone asks that, it's kind of like shocking. So like if my partner asks me, can I send you a pic of my, and then like an eggplant emoji,
Yeah.
when he asks me that, the act of asking is hot.
It
I'm
is.
like, ooh yeah, like send it to me, I'm
Yeah.
ready. Yeah, so
He
definitely
cares
ask first.
about how I feel. He cares that I'm
Yeah,
comfortable with this. He's not
and
just
I'm not
doing
with
it.
like a coworker.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not the grocery store.
Right, exactly. Ask me if I want it, I'll say yes, then send it to me. That effect will be tenfold.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So being more comfortable, modeling the behavior, and
Yeah.
anything else about with sexting, because it is so common now.
Mhm.
Oh,
Please share.
Zol has a question. DJ Zol wants to know: is sending an unsolicited dick pic illegal?
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Can it technically be a form of harassment?
It can be if you send it every day.
Oh, and there's probably a
Yeah,
very gray line with one dick pic and seven dick pics. Like, what? Where's the?
exactly.
Oh man, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
It
good
becomes
question. So,
yeah, that is a really good question. So you can go report it at like the police station when it becomes harassment, because sexual harassment is illegal.
yeah, I would just
Yeah,
block the first time, and then if
exactly.
they find your number again, then you got a weirdo on your hands.
There are so many men,
Okay, awesome. Thank
so
you for
many
that.
random men with monkey brains that just like send dick pics to strangers. Like,
Uh,
okay, let me tell you, it's never okay to just send a dick pic to strangers. It's never okay.
yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't care if you're Brad Pitt. It's never okay.
No, no, not at all. Okay, next we have at the one who gots it. How do I tell my boyfriend his hygiene needs to improve, which is why I avoid oral?
Yes, I love this question because it's uh
It's brutally
a lot of
honest.
men are, yeah, a lot of men are not great with their hygiene, right? Especially long-term relationships, they kind of just like give up and they don't trim their pubic hair, or people that used to
Mm-mm.
shave don't shave,
Yeah,
and they like don't clean the under their balls. They
yeah,
don't like thoroughly clean their penis. So, what I would do in terms of communication is, instead of just like, can you go wash it? Which is like a lot of times fine, because men are very literal. If you were just like, can you go wash it? I'll give you a blow job. They will
yeah.
literally run to the bathroom.
Yes, yes. This is very true. Yeah, I've told
If
my
I if
boyfriend
I go
before.
up to my partner and like, hey babe, do you want to go wash your dick right now? I'm gonna give you a blow job. He will run to the bathroom.
Yeah, I've literally told my boyfriend, "Hey, I will suck your dick, but I was hoping I could put your balls in my mouth. Could you go trim them?" And he's been like, "Be right back," and it's worked perfectly. So, but if you were wanting to be a little bit more sensitive, I guess is probably what this person is wondering.
Yes, if you wanted to be more sensitive, the communication that I would do is through action. So like, hey babe, let's take a shower before we have sex tonight.
Hmm.
Take a shower together, make it a sexual thing, clean his balls. And like, yeah, when you go to bed, maybe give a little reward, like maybe give him a blowjob. While giving a blowjob, maybe say like, I love the smell of you after, right after shower. It's
Yeah,
so sexy.
yeah, yeah,
Positive reinforcement.
yeah,
Positive reinforcement works. If you're like, oh, after, like, you smell so hot after a shower, like this is, your smell so sexy.
yeah,
That it will register in his monkey brain that
yeah.
that
Shower,
like,
blowjob,
oh,
shower,
okay,
blowjob, shower,
shower
blow.
blowjob, shower blowjob, okay. 0101.
Okay, that's great. Pretty simple. Let's see. Three more questions. We have at Gabby Grandel. I watch porn, but I'm worried it's ruining sex for me. Is there any truth behind this?
There's so much truth behind it.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot, like hundreds of studies on porn. Too much porn usage, which is called porn reliance,
Porn
and then
reliant.
porn addiction.
Okay.
So two different things. You can be like porn reliant, but not an addict. But
Makes
then you
sense.
can also be an addict.
You can be porn reliant as in like to get a boner, to get arousal for
So
males
every
or
time that you masturbate, if you have to rely on porn in order to get a boner and to come, that's porn reliance.
got it. What about
Uh,
for women as well?
yeah, for
Okay.
women too. If
Okay.
every time they masturbate and to be able to come clitorally, or when they masturbate and they have to watch porn every single time, that's porn reliance.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
addiction is you can't come unless you're watching it.
And that you don't have control over that addiction. So
Got it.
like let's say you're sitting in a train, you have to watch porn because you have an urge.
Oh no, that's
You
bad.
know, like yeah, you're like in an Uber, you're watching porn because you have an urge.
Oh no.
That's an addiction.
Ugh.
An addiction is when you have to satisfy it when you have an urge without any control. So like it's the same as being a drug addict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So it's no good. Like porn reliance is no good. Porn addiction is no good. I would work really hard to self regulate and like try to use imagination next time you masturbate.
Yeah. And if you are addicted, on the extremist level, maybe slowly wean yourself off,
Yes.
maybe just watch a little. I don't even know if that's possible, or
Yes.
every,
Yes.
imagination one day, porn the next, or I don't know.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Baby steps and gradual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But if you do have porn addiction, I highly suggest you see a sex therapist.
Which is your sexual
Yes.
communication.
Well, I can help with. I can refer to another therapist in
Okay.
your area where like maybe they take your insurance or whatever.
Got
But
it.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So
If you
you
have an
also,
addiction, you
yeah.
have to see a therapist. If
Okay.
that's an addiction, it's just like drug addiction and alcohol addiction.
Okay. So you also work with people who have singular issues, not just in relationships.
Right. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, great. Good to know. Uh, Anonymous. How do I make myself more comfortable with sex if I come from a religious background?
Yeah. I often tell people I'm religious as well.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. So if I can do it, you can do it.
yeah. I'm like, you don't really put sexpert and super religious next to each other, but
Totally. Yeah. And I'm learning now that there are a lot of other religious people that I know that are very sexual
yeah.
because they're able to disassociate the good things that come from their religion with the misguided teachings that they don't resonate with.
Mm,
So I'm going to share a little bit. I'm a Buddhist.
okay.
And I go to temples, I give merit, I donate, I practice, I pray every day. So I pray every day and then I fuck every day. So
It's all
there's
about
that.
balance, you know?
Yeah, it's a really good balance. So for those of you that are from religious background, I understand you. The first thing to do is maybe when you have a time to self-reflect, I want you to think about the good things that come from your religion that you can resonate with. Maybe it's community, maybe it's faith, maybe it's confidence. Um, and keep that in your religious bag, like religious bucket. And then now let's look at how has your religion affected you negatively when it comes to self-confidence and sex. Have they taught you that you're impure, that you're dirty, that you're not worthy because you had sex? That's misguided now that we know from sciences and actual research. Let's dump that bucket and
Mm,
then let's put in sex positivity stuff in this sex bucket instead.
yeah.
So I always say you don't have to listen to everything your religion says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be the first practice would be self-reflection
Mm,
and separating the good from the bad.
yeah. Okay.
And if there are like negative teachings, like you're going to hell, like I would remove that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right. And then fill in with good things. Like,
Okay.
I love my body. I am able to receive pleasure. I am worthy of receiving connection, all of those things.
Yeah.
One of the two people that I've talked to recently on my podcast, one of them is an OBGYN and she's a very sex positive person, but she's also very religious. And she said, God is pro pleasure. And that's her belief,
Okay.
right? Like she said, I go to church and I'm pro pleasure and I believe God is pro pleasure. And like, so that's her deal is that you create your own reality with your words, and that's her words.
That's
And
great.
another person, this is a funny story, is Layla London. She wears a butt plug and she goes to church. And when, when she like
Okay.
got up to go get a what is it, communion or something, like Catholics, that's what Catholics do.
Yeah.
She said, oh my god, I like almost lost my butt plug. It was like it was
Wow.
loosening. So she said, I just mix the two. So I remove guilt from it. Like I come to church because I like talking to my God. I like having faith. But at the same time, I'm going to have a butt plug in my butthole.
I love it. Okay, that's great. Yeah, and, we can
Yeah.
make jokes about balance, but the way that religion makes people feel shame around
Mhm.
sex and premarital sex or whatever it is, or same sex, same gender, sexual encounters, it will completely throw them off the religious path
Yeah.
completely. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what's better, taking out some things to make yourself more comfortable with your religion, or completely just saying, all right, this is telling me I'm dirty. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not a religious person. I don't know, but extremely good insight. Thank you, Dr. Tara. We have one
Of
last
course.
question. At Michael Travis MMA, how can I tell my partner I would like more sex without it seeming like a task?
Yes. So remember I always say, modeling behavior is the best. So you want more sex and you think that they don't want to have sex with you, perhaps there is a disconnect with emotional connection. Perhaps there is a disconnect of you not understanding where she's coming from. Like, why does she not want to have sex? Does she feel like you have gained a lot of weight? You don't care too much about sex, about her during sex, like you just use her. Why is she not wanting to have sex? Right. So, number one thing is being a sexual communication expert. I always say you have to communicate.
Yeah.
You have to have a conversation about, like, hey, is there something that I do that perhaps is not very pleasurable to you, because my goal is so for both of us to have a great sex life.
Yeah.
So please tell me what I can do to improve that process. And if you start with that, start with like what I can do, she doesn't feel attacked. She doesn't feel like you don't want to have sex, like, that something's wrong with you, like you
Yeah.
never want to have sex with me. Never say that, because
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Like, there's doesn't
Yeah.
work, doesn't work.
Counterproductive.
So always go with what can I do to pleasure you more,
That's great.
so that they open up in this conversation. And then from there, ask what feels really good for you, what is ideal in terms of sexual frequency. Do you want to have sex once a week, twice a week? What's your expectation? My expectation is three times a week. Oh, your expectation is once a week. How do we reconcile that? Can we do mutual masturbation? Can we do, can you give me a handy while you use a vibrator?
Mhm.
Can we do something else that's sexual together, like mutual sexual meditation? So
Oh,
you have to talk.
sexual
um
meditation.
and and that, yeah,
Yeah.
sexual meditation is my favorite thing to do. So you have to talk. The sexual communication is necessary in this case.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That was our last fan question. But my last question to you, I ask all of our guests, if you could pick the next guest, who would you like to hear next on Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl?
Oh, I would love to hear from uh gosh, what's her name? I'd love to hear from Okay, I would love to hear from Dr. Lori Brotto.
Who's that?
She is the leading expert on female sexual arousal.
Is she the Canadian?
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
She's the
Yeah.
she's the president of that lab.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think she'll give you such good insight, and you have so many good questions. So I think that she will be able to share very, very valuable things for your listeners.
And the first thing I think is like, oh, okay, she's an expert in female sexual health, but I'd say 85% of my listeners and now viewers are males. But who's going to benefit the most? Is it just women? No. Sometimes men need to sit down and listen to a 45-minute to an hour podcast about women's sexual pleasure, because guess what?
100%.
All of a sudden your partner is going to be like, whoa, what have you been doing? And then you're going to increase in the frequency of sex because it's going to be more pleasurable for your partner.
Yes, yes. I always say sexual competence isn't just the thrust, it's the brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, men, educate yourself, listen to, females talking about pleasure, talking about how they get pleasure, how to communicate, how to have better emotional intimacy, because all of these things can only enhance your life. It's
Yeah.
like taking vitamins, right? This listening to your podcast right now, it's like taking vitamins for your sex life.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to use that as a
Exactly.
tagline.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've picked your brain. I'm going to listen to your podcast more frequently because I'm just shocked at how much I learned in this 45-minute to an hour episode with you. So I want to keep listening. But besides your podcast, and please tell us where we can listen to your podcast, but where can we follow on social media and anything else you would like to promote right now?
So you can listen to Love Bites by Dr. Tara podcast anywhere you get your podcast. It's everywhere: Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else. You can go to my website that has everything on it: lovebites.co, LUVBITES.co. All my social media is lovebites.co. So my TikTok, which is growing rapidly, it's all on sex ed, is lovebites.co. And then my Instagram is lovebites.co. For those of you that want to try sexual meditation, you can go to YouTube and search Love Bites by Dr. Tara. You will be able to find these guided sexual meditation to try to have fun with your partner or just have fun alone
Yeah.
and enhance your sexuality. Other than that, if you want to go even further and do some sexual journaling, I
Oh,
have
yes.
a sexual mindfulness ebook that's out, and it's 30 different activities you can do to enhance your sex
Whoa,
life.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
I'm all about doing.
I'm traditional, so I would, I'm able to print that out and then
Yes.
actually, oh, that's amazing. Okay. Um, Besides that, I think, that's about it. I can't believe it's already over. I learned so much. I had such a good time. All these links, guys, as always, I will always put them in the show notes, so you don't have to write this down right now. But anything else you wanted to tell us about? You're such a knowledgeable woman.
I would say, talk about sex.
Mhm.
You will be surprised how much it improves your relationship.
Yeah.
For those of you that are single and are dating, like going out on dates, bring sex up. It really can like lighten up the mood if the other person is receptive, or you will really learn about this other person and how they approach sex.
Yeah.
Maybe you're like wildly incompatible, then you'll know right away. So
Yeah.
talk about sex. There's so much
Wow.
benefits from talking about
I
sex.
didn't realize until you just said that, which is so like duh, but we've been programmed that we just go on the date and then you have sex with the person and figure things out after sex. But there's
Right.
no rule that says you can't talk about sex before having sex. I'm like, duh, but
Exactly.
okay. Well,
Talk about sex.
it's been so informative. Thank you. This is like the most educational podcast we've had.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Love your work, Ashley. And you're looking so attractive right now. I would say I'm very sexually into this. And
Are you feeling
thank you.
hetero-flexible right
I
now?
am feeling very hetero flexible right now. But thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. That's it, guys, for episode 92 with Dr. Tara. I cannot believe we are almost at episode 100. DJ Zol, we still don't have a guest. Okay, guys, I'm asking you, please write in to the Instagram or our email, which is sexandviolencepodcast@gmail. Suggest a 100th episode guest. We're stumped. I have some ideas, but I want to hear from you guys. Who would you like our 100th guest to be? Next week, we have a flyweight in the UFC. Her name is Miranda Fear the Maverick. Kind of interesting nickname. She is coming up. She's going to talk about her love life. She's recently engaged and married, and she's killing it in the UFC. So it's going to be a great episode. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to check out the merch. We're actually doing a giveaway. I didn't talk about this in the beginning of the episode, but if you buy some of our merch, one piece, you are automatically entered into the signed UFC glove giveaway. And that winner will be announced on April 30th. So if you go to the website, sexviolencewithrebelgirl.com, you buy a hat, a sticker, coffee mug, a crop top, whatever it is, you're automatically entered into the signed UFC glove giveaway. You can always email us. That's sexandviolencepodcast@gmail.com. And a big thank you to our guys, DJ Zol at DJ Zol, Tomorrow Kids Studio at Tomorrow Kids Official. And you can always find us on Instagram. It's at Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl. And our backup account, I always forget to tell you guys this, but there's Karens out there. So follow our backup account at Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl with the number 2 behind it. And that's about it, guys. We've got a really great episode coming up for you. So stay tuned. What do I say every week? Be kind, be grateful, but don't take shit from anyone. We'll see you guys next week. and talk to you guys next week with a new guest and more tales of sex and violence.